Hyperion forever!
This used to be Sarpedon's own ship, you know. Promoted, I mean. They say it went down before the cracking happened. Imagine that. Crash. Bang! Oh, would have been something to see.
Anything good? My weapon machines will fix
John, I want an update on the Helios situation. Sir, I've got my best people working on a way to retake the station.
That's the Hyperion CEO. Is he as much of a bottle and glass arse as I hear?
Who the hell is that? That is the 10-year-old boy we hired to help us.
I mean... Jack?
This pistol's not too bad. That was a mistake. I put this on mostly for the fact that I'm going to be in an atmosphere. And fire is actually pretty superior in this game, as long as you have an atmosphere. I love that something can be on fire and frozen at the same time. And be made of metal.
Hey, Jack's back! And the world just got 25% more handsome. Hey, I'm not dead. How about that? Who needs a hero?
Where was the guy that kept corroding me?
Money is power. Welcome to the money zone.
Evil laugh. I'm a captain
Evil
of this
laugh.
And you, squalid looter, will soon face my wrath.
Actually, as I've just blocked the path to my wrath, you'll face my men's wrath instead. My girlfriend and I will enjoy watching you from the safety of the captain's chamber. Won't we, my luscious snuggle bunny?
Yep.
We've talked about this, my love. You're to address me as baby or my dear, especially in front of the others.
Of course, my dear Bosie.
Mateys, attack!
This'll be good. I'm period forever. And the world just got 25% more handsome.
Hey there, sorry about all that. Look, I'm not really with Captain Arscrack here. To prove it, I'll pop the door for you. If you want that force field down, you need to go to the engine room.
All right, lady, but I'm watching you.
Listen, the bosun's pretty much holding me prisoner and making me do things for his entertainment, but you're here and you look like the rescuing type.
They're a flipping vault hunter, so they're more the arse-kicking type.
Kind of the same thing in my book.
I'm sorry, I'm here for the military AI.
Perfect. I know exactly where you can get an excellent military AI. Just come find me. First, I'll have to show you how to shut down the bosun's barrier.
Reckon she's onto something.
Cool. This'll be fine, surely.
Great. I'll try to help along the way where possible, but I can't let the bosun know we're working together. So, sorry in advance for anything I have to do. I'll be in touch when you get to the engine room. Sorry about this, but I'm going to have to defend the engine room for the bosun. And these old dial sounds are tough. Don't take that, kid. It's not.
Stop it, my fluffy koala! Tiny thieving rat! Crush it! Burn it!
Calm down, dear.
fuckers! Oh, I just came into some money! Sweater?
I don't know how I picked that up.
Actually has a combat AI? These pirate dickbags just sound nuts. Get it? Dickbags? Nuts?
Word is, before the bosun went native, he was some kind of AI tech whiz. Not that you'd think it now, he's gone all mum and dad mad. But what do you care? Didn't you just get fired?
And when I march up to Helios with an army of badass robots, I'll be unfired so quickly it'll make Tacitur's pedo mustache spin off his big gross ugly face. Just get the AI core.
Okay.
We can bring down the force field, blocking your route to, well, me, by jettisoning the main engines. Removing them will really mess up several of the Drakensberg's key systems. I'll quietly talk you through things and update your echo where appropriate, but the bosun's going to throw a lot of his men at you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm Jack. I can handle it.
First, head to the engine control panel and set the ship's engines to maximum activate.
Surprising no one.
What's happening down there?
Nothing, dear. It's all under control. Great. Kid, can you find a way to the flow regulator if you know what that is?
Of course I know. Give me a second.
Bad guy popsicle. Bad guy chill.
next to the red pipe. Push it.
There you go.
You know what to do, Vault Hunter.
I mean, do you really need one? If you subbed. If that's what you meant, anyways, sorry to sound like that was a... It's not like I care if you subbed or not. That's not what I...
Good work, that's done it. Now all you need to do is expose the power stabilizer.
Came out weird. I just meant, do you want a shout out because you subbed? Because I don't have any notifications for that shit. But if you just want me to shout out your channel, it's like, I mean, I only shout out things I watch. I don't have a huge reach, so it wouldn't really benefit you much anyways. Just being honest, dude.
It's me. But which one's the real me? Oh God, it exploded!
Shoot it, and we're almost done.
Warning, ship's engine output at critical level, maggots.
Maggots?
I'll pull your brain out of your ears and dance on your skull with shoes made of acid.
And how are you going to put those shoes on? Honestly, you just blurt out threats without thinking. Good. Initiate the engine jettison sequence.
I've probably given more, like, shout-outs speaking in a more negative manner than I have good manners. Mostly because I'll talk about someone or something on YouTube.
Engine jettison, switching to crack the emergency power.
But I do that because I know that it very rarely will get back to them, and even if it did, they'd probably be like, who fucking cares? It's some random dude on the internet. Who gives a shit? That's everyone's mentality, so.
I need to do that last bit, but I knew it would annoy him, so I thought, why not?
Job well done. You're on your own, Vault Hunter. I've got fresh loot to sort.
Head back to the core system room. We'll take care of the bosun's force field when you get there. The engine shaft.
Half of the people I'm subbed to now I don't even watch anymore. There are very few people I've stayed watching over the years because of how they change. And it's not that I don't like change, it's just that I hate this, like, you watch, like, YouTubers go from people who just did stuff for themselves to, it's like, you can clearly tell that they want people to click on their videos now. It's not just a matter of they make a video for the fun of it. They have to have the thumbnail with their face cam in it, with their face and like a, oh, like sort of pose and shit, and then they want to act like they're not trying to get money. At least people who try to make it a job and don't try to act like they're just trying to be all humble about it, like, I can respect it in that manner. Like Captain Sparkles and stuff like that. He's always upfront about like monetization and making money about it. He can't obviously legally disclose how much he makes, but he's probably one of the YouTubers who has talked about it the most and is upfront about it.
Oops, sorry. Did you want me to keep them open too?
I don't even watch him that much. I just always see his stuff pop up.
Dick always had the nicest things to say about you.
Oh, I know.
And he has that formula, that he's had that formula on some of his videos. And not all of his videos were like that originally. But again, it's just due to what people click on now. And you can see that in so many different YouTubers now, where it's literally every single video is a thumbnail of their face with some sort of face cam thing on it. And it's not even wholesome, like, shit anymore. It's not like art from some fan or some artist for the channel or something like that. I think Jesse Cox is one of the only few people who still does that. Jesse Cox and people in the NLSS. But even some of the dudes on that do the thing that I'm talking about. And that shit gets like super, super annoying. And that's also because 90% of the time it's not even like a capture of them taken out of their actual gameplay. It's like a separate screenshot that they did to match it, because actually taking a still of your face and random commentary, your face is in so many awkward positions it's not even funny. Very rarely do you have a still of someone's face that actually looks good when you pause them while talking. I'm not saying it's impossible. There are some people who can pull that off, where when they're talking they just have a way that their like facial structure works that it just doesn't look weird. But other people will always make them look like they're like wincing or doing other things, but it's really just because of the amount of muscles you use in your face to talk. For some people use more than others just based on the way that they learned to talk when they were young. People also don't realize the impact that using your face muscles has on speech. That is why Rocky Balboa's speech is so impeded, because half of his face is nerve dead. So he can't move the muscles properly. He was born that way. I actually met someone who didn't know that about Sylvester Stallone, and I was like, wow. I guess that person never used the internet to look up people before. That's what I used to use it for back before I got decent enough internet to do a bunch of other shit. So I would just look up information about different people that wasn't really readily accessible before the internet came around. This person had this disorder, and it's the thing that is the whole reason why their career is known for who they are, which is very, very often the case. A person's disorder or habit is what makes their career, and the second they either get clean or do something different is when their career either changes or plummets. I said changes because that's a nice way to say they find the success elsewhere.
this door now, Vault Hunter.
What? Oh god, it exploded!
I've only ever gotten the IVF once from him, and it was like right after the patch for it.
Oh, that's easy. Say what? You get it because he's frozen. Oh, it's good to be rich.
It's also really weird that they gave him the IVF as a drop. It's just weird, dude.
Wow, the skipper's an AI. Well, blow my cotton socks off.
Got it in one.
Blow
kid.
my
You're
cotton
sharp.
socks off.
The bosun, aka Keith, used to be an AI tech working for Dahl. He made me into this after he, wasn't exactly
Yeah, I think
a hit
YouTube has
with
gotten
the
to a
ladies.
point where
Wow, and super cool. Hey, you don't happen to have a military AI around here?
people like,
You're looking at it. I used to be military grade. ran
specifically
shit
when
it
talking
meant
about
something.
gameplay commentaries and
Until the
shit,
bosun
people
programmed
tend to
be
click
his
on stuff that is
companion.
just
If you
beyond
want to plug me into something more interesting than this dead shit,
the actual, they're not watching it for the
too many
gameplay,
terrible memories here.
is what I'm saying.
What? The hot chick's actually an ex-military AI?
Like, it really
reprogrammed
wouldn't matter the
some
game,
beach
as long as it was like
girlfriend?
trendy,
Sold. Grab the lovely
and the
lady and
person
get
was
going.
like
You've got some
going
friggin'
like,
robots.
whoa, and making a bunch of different fucking noises as he got killed, should be, it's good.
I'm ready. Yank me.
That's a video. Wrap it up. 100,000 plus views. Oh my god. This is the reason why I never open those things. They're so bad.
Good news is we found an old doll robot.
Why do they
factory
let them
abandoned for the
be
most
that
part.
bad?
We'll echo the Vault Hunter.
It makes
Bad
me
news is the
sad.
scabs living there do not
Also
like
mad.
us.
Hey, that's
Never
awesome.
glad.
Apart from the you being shot at part, of course. Great work.
Thanks. We'll be in touch once we've dealt with these guys. It's gonna be harder than it sounds.
No,
Hello,
man.
this thing working? Vault Hunter, you gotta get that factory's production line running again.
I know the factory he's talking about. I can help you navigate it. First, you'll need to catch a train.
You really remember all the stuff these people said to you, word for word?
I have a good memory.
What's the 17th thing Jack says in your story?
She leads these jackasses, I think. First person to shoot her in the head gets a high five and a turbo mansion.
Oh, what?
And I
Really don't
mean,
remember
the whole
everybody
reason
else
why
wants
we're
to
saying that
what?
is, I think when it comes to YouTube, yes, you should be drawn to someone for their personality, but if that's like, if they only play one game, what is actually drawing you to that person? Is it the game or the personality, or is it the combination of both? Because both is when you have a good YouTuber. Someone who can tell you why things are the way they are in the game that they play all the time, but also simultaneously not upload clickbait content like almost fastest run worldwide, quote unquote, and then they have parentheses or like whatever, almost made it, or something like that. And it's just like, click on me please, the video. That's what the video is. It's just click on me. And then in like the first, I don't know, you're watching it, right? First minute to a minute and a half of the video, dude's like, now I'd appreciate it if y'all could leave a like, and if you're new here, subscribe. And it's like, I haven't watched anything that you've done yet, If I'm new here, the only thing you're doing is like making me more unsure about me actually subscribing. I don't need to be reminded that there's a feature on YouTube that will allow me to see your content. I know that. I'm not a 6-year-old with an iPad. Bud. You're making content where you're swearing. Who are you fucking marketing to? Why do you think I always get so skeptical when kids watch my content? It fucking annoys me. Also, what's up, Hyro? It's not even that I hate kids, it's just like, what the fuck, man?
This station hasn't been fully operational in a long time, but I can get it running again. There'll be a console around here somewhere. Get me
YouTube's in a place where it's filled with a lot of bad role models that people say are good role models. I'm not a good role model, but I don't try to be one, and that's why I really don't encourage anyone who's not mature enough to understand how to be their own person. Because I don't want people, like, doing stuff because I do it. I do it. I don't know why that came out so weird. I have, like, indigestion right now, so I keep, like, gurgling up shit. So you have to excuse that.
Go for it.
Okay, plug me in. I'll call the train. It might take a few.
Yes, Hyro, but you're not 10 years old watching a Fortnite video. You're not like that kid that is like swearing left and right in the party earlier, and it was just making me feel like awkward. I said earlier. It was like 2 days ago. 2 or 3 days ago. Whatever. He wanted to play with me this morning, and I just said no. I was getting off anyways. I just can't do that shit, man. That stuff bothers me because it's 99% due to their entertainment source. I had a lot of different entertainment sources when I was younger. I guess that is attributed to my varied likeness. I like off-road vehicles, I like all different types of things when it comes to like racing and shit like that. I really just don't like hypercars because I really feel like it becomes redundant once you start making the perfect type of car. You're just gonna end up with a formula where you end up with the episode of the Fairly Odd Parents where everyone's gray blobs. There's just no meaning to anything once everything is the same. You take away what makes individuality when you make everything blobbed into one group.
So this is where we're gonna build the super awesome robot army.
I'm glad you're enjoying something, Hyro.
Disappointed.
I don't like online games. You know my opinion on that, so don't even try to get me to download it.
To get to the power suit section and get things up and running again. This place could have a serious torque infestation. Hope they've not destroyed any key systems in there. Still.
Wow, I got as good a loot out of a torque as I got out of a fucking 40 cost moonstone chest. Wow. Thanks, game. Just punch me right in the dick. See, and that's taking half of what the game is out of the game. I don't know, as fucked up as it sounds, I think that game would have been so much cooler if it had a story where you were just slowly murdering different groups of people. Instead of just online multiplayer murdering groups of people.
Just give me a moment to look around. There's barely any power running through this. Ta-da! More nasties.
Like destroy all humans, but with fucking a psychopath. And not an alien. Again, people would think that sounds fucked up, but it's a video game, so. What do you want out of a horror video game? If you were gonna have a single-player horror video game that wasn't Five Nights at Freddy's or Resident Evil-like. Because apparently that's the only two ways you can make horror games now. Really, if someone just took the theme of how Bloodborne looked and worked, and just worked that into a horror game, that would already be... I already qualify Bloodborne as a horror game, not because it horrifies me, but because it used to horrify the people who came over to my house when I was playing it. They didn't like me playing it because they didn't like seeing some of the things on the screen. Like the flayed back flesh of like the blood-starved beast. How his skin's like peeled open and dangling off of his back. Like for whatever reason, that specifically triggered like one of my friends really badly. And he like almost wanted to throw up from it. And I'm like, I can't even remotely understand how a person can feel that way. But it's the same way that I was talking about before, about how I'm like weathered with that kind of stuff. Like seeing blood, gore, and viscera was something I grew up. I knew how to gut and skin my own fish before I was 10 years old. Oh, a kid using knives, it's so scary. He's gonna cut his fingers off because he doesn't understand how a knife can be sharp. It sucks that most kids nowadays just go and just scream. The amount of kids I see nowadays that literally half of what they do is just scream is beyond my like, when did that start happening? When did kids, like, just fucking screaming at the top of their lungs become a thing? Because that wasn't a thing with pretty much any of the kids in my class from, like, kindergarten up. And I really don't fucking get it. I paused it because I was like, is it gonna hit that? I was trying to move the cursor on the map down to it, but whatever. Dang it. This TDR pistol is pretty good, dude. It's quick shot. It's got that Vlad there on it.
For something so ugly, they should. This is the entrance to the Stingray facility. Could you get me access to that gate console? I'll make that majority.
You're still friends with me in the future, Hyro. And you ever get enough money to travel, come up to New Hampshire and I'll take you fishing. I don't know exactly what you personally would want to fish for the first time, but I know of a variety of rivers and ecosystems throughout the Northeast, so. Normally what you would start a kid on catching are panfish, but I mean really all it takes to catch a panfish is to get a piece of fishing line. You don't even need a fishing pole to do this. Get a piece of fishing line, get a soda can, and you just wrap the line around a soda can or a bottle, whatever you want. A plastic bottle is sometimes even better because it has like the little ridges for the line. You just wrap the line around the bottle, you just put one sinker and a small hook on it. And really you can use any kind of thing as bait. You don't have to buy night crawlers. You can just go into a park or something like that, get caterpillars, grubs, or other things too. Worms aren't the only thing fish eat. You can also just go to the river itself and start flipping over rocks. You might find dragonfly larvae or hellgrammites.
Nauseous again.
And other things you can stick on a small hook and fish with. They don't last very long as bait. Mostly because once you pierce the exoskeleton, all the juice on the inside starts to leak out, but normally if you're fishing in a spot where there are fish, you throw a good couple of casts with something that's live and wriggling, you're gonna get a bite. That's why when people go, like, when you pay a guide to take you fishing, a lot of the time they'll go with live bait. They're not going to have you fish with lures. Unless the guiding service is specifically for lure fishing. Because live bait is so much more effective than using artificial lures. If you have a wounded thing of what the fish are eating, the fish are gonna go for it. They just are. That's why when you're using artificial bait, it's best to present whatever they've been eating. Or if fish haven't been eating and you're targeting solitary, like, predators that only take stuff every once in a while, those kinds of things will bite on more attractive colors just out of sheer reaction, like bright pinks, like an all pink fish looking lure or something like that. Stuff that you would think wouldn't catch a fish can absolutely catch a fish. A fish just has to be in that kind of mood. Because if you're in a lake or you're fishing a river where the fish are only eating a specific looking thing in that water column, like let's say a lake has a black and white minnow in it, and that black and white minnow has a stripe with a dot on it. You would want to have a lure in your box that has a stripe with that dot or whatever on it. Something that pretty much identically matches it. And then you just use your lure as a wounded version of those things. You can also catch a lot of fish like that, but that you have to be a lot more match the hatchy and know what you're looking at sort of thing. Because you might see other wildlife, but that couldn't be necessarily what the fish are feeding on. Like, you could see very small minnows, but certain types of fish aren't going to go out of their way to eat a little millimeter or two long fingerling. They want the bigger minnows that are already a couple inches long. So you gotta look for schools of what the bigger minnows are. Because fish will eat anything. Fish are cannibals as well. You'll catch fish with their own tiny fry inside of their mouth because, again, they just eat to eat, and if they see a tiny fish, they eat it, and it doesn't matter if it looks the same way. It's why you can't have multiple carnivorous fish in the same tank. If they can fit each other in their mouth, they're gonna eat each other. Is normally the rule of thumb with carnivorous fish. If it can fit the other fish in its mouth, it's gonna try to eat it, or it's gonna try to nip parts of it off. Like fins and other things. Fish are very instinctually driven, so it's not like a cat or a dog where you can breed in domesticated traits about it where it will act less fish-like. Also, Gwen's other head. Is that shock? Yeah. Tactical Gwen's other head. Jeez. More like shit. Why are you going to Texas to live? What do you think is so great about Texas? You want to go back down? If anything, I'd think you'd want to go further up north. You want to live in Huggy? That was me combining hot and muggy in my brain. You want to live in huggy weather, Hyro? You want to live where the weather's huggy? That huggy weather don't fuck around, dude. It hugs. Cheaper families there. Hyro, I highly doubt Texas is going to be cheaper at all in the next couple years. I guarantee you moving to fucking Massachusetts or Vermont or New Hampshire is way cheaper. We pay less than $700 for a multiple bedroom place here, so I mean it's like, I don't know. I mean, I know Jersey is expensive in certain areas, but as soon as you leave the city, the property goes down drastically, man. And the weather's so much more enjoyable in the summer up here. Down there, it's fucking death in the middle of the day. I have relatives in Texas too, though, so I just wouldn't ever consider moving there because of it. I'll move up north closer to my French-Canadian relatives before I do that.
Oh, thanks so much. Feels like I've been trapped here forever. I'll open the door.
Why does it matter if there's family there, Hyro?
Here I was doing some help-yourself exploring, working on a pet project I've been cooking up when a scab
Swept in about to cut me up bad.
You're such a Latino. You guys and your family.
Hey, Jack, is this guy for real?
I don't recognize him. Yeah, what's your name?
Sorry, bruv. Gladstone D Division. What brings you here?
Oh, D-Division. That's where they hide all the brainiacs who work on all the super secret awesome stuff, right?
I work on experimental tech. The division greenlit me using...
Also, hey, Matthew.
Why are you here?
Well, Gladstone Katoa, I need to get back to...
I know you are. That's what I'm saying. You're such a stereotypical Latino.
And if we don't, the moon's gonna go boom and take half of Pandora with it. You know, the huge.
Oh, man. I wondered what was going on. So, why are you here? Shouldn't you be somewhere more space station?
Jack wants to build a robot
Nice
arm
titty.
that can
What?
buy AI,
Title.
Then retake Helios with it. I'm Felicity, by the way.
That isn't the title. It's lightning equal growth. You fucking dangle berry boy. You bushel boy. You fucking ranch dressing boy. Ranch. Dun dun dun. Bird up.
This guy right here. Tell me more.
Yeah, bro. We'll just need to finish putting the hardware together. After that, we install...
Gotta get that ranch. The Eric Andre show reference, if you have never watched that show.
That's not what I had in mind.
Just look up, if you want to go and look up a separate video for a moment, just search Eric Andre Ranch.
Right? Because to be honest, those power suits seem kind of lame.
I know you'll get a what the fuck out of it, Hyro, because you always think everything I watch and listen to is weird. Because you're a normie.
Go Team Robot Army.
Do I not get a say in this?
You're a normie, but you eat cereal and milk separate. You're an insane person.
Last guy who double-crossed me has got nothing but a bunch of bullet holes and a stupid look on his face. Get me?
You're still one of the only people I've ever met who pours a bowl of cereal and then pours a glass of milk and eats the cereal and drinks them separate. Aw, time-tested CEO. Garbage. Dude, cereal doesn't go soggy instantly. How much fucking cereal are you eating? What are you putting warm milk in it? You further insane? If you have nice near like ice cold milk, the cereal will stay crunchy for like 5 to 6 minutes, which is well long enough to eat it. I can eat like a fucking couple cups of cereal with milk in it in like less than 2 minutes. You being a fucking big boy should be able to fucking do that, no problem. And I have my nasty ass teeth. I got no good teeth. You understand, Hyro? No teeth still beat you at eating crunchy cereal. Because you think it somehow gets soft in that amount of time.
Anyway, then I was on my own. I knew they'd send a rescue party though. Never stopped hoping.
Yeah.
What are you eating? Like literal shredded wheat? Just fucking cornflake dust?
They're the coolest company. Best 3 years of my life. Would never want to work for anyone else.
He doesn't even eat the cereal. He just puts it out on a table, smashes it with its hand against the table so that it turns into powder, and then goes and then he just gets a funnel, sticks it in the other nostril, and pours the milk down. And he's just like wow, that was so close. No, pick it up. No! Oh yeah, that's right, there's a shortcut. I like how it still shows that, as if you can open it. You get all ranched. Ranch. Yeah. Yeah. Eric Andre is one of the top 10 best people in existence. His Hot Ones episode is also really good. Meanwhile, eat some cereal for me, and make sure to put it with a side of ranch. Mmm, delicious. Ranch cereal. Mmm. Ranch baganch.
Check back later to see my new weapon of the day.
Who the fuck? Who the... Oh, come on! You're screwing me over, game. How are these enemies respawning? Funny, there's a chest there, because there's also one right here. There's another one in this area, if I remember correctly. It's not over here, I'm just looking for something. If there is a something over here. See, to me personally, that would have been the place to put the chest. Put a red chest back there. Can't help but feel this was going to be used for something originally. These things are so fucking tanky. I did tell you they were tough. I thought there was a third chest around here, but maybe my ass is grass with a mustache. What happens when you make a multi-shot weapon shoot even more multi-shots without hindering the actual damage number on it? I wonder how that's calculated. Like, cause this weapon already has a ×6 multiplier, and it's adding, I think, a ×2 multiplier onto the pellets, or ×3, or maybe it isn't a times. Maybe it's just like it adds a flat amount. If it adds a flat amount, then it would probably add about 5 or 6. Hold on, let me get a good shot at a wall. Good clean. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. How does it arrive at 17 from 6? We need a recount. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18. So 2 of the bullets must have been overlapping up here that I didn't see. So yeah, 18 pellets. That makes more sense. It's times 3, like I said. For a weapon that's already split projectiles, it times it by 3. And for a weapon that has only 1 projectile, it adds a base number onto it. Because there's no way that the base number for the additional value on a splitter would be... Because it's adding 12 additional pellets. Gladstone! Oh, a tum-tum diob. Daub. Nasty donk. Oh, that's so bizarre. You can't go to sub-level 13 unless you have the quest for it. So you wouldn't even know that area exists coming through this map for the first time. That's a little bullshit. No wonder I didn't figure that out myself. Oh, that's HP drain.
Calm down. Let's go sponsored by Hyperion.
Get fucking down here, you midge. Wow, he was not having it. He's like, I'm not getting frozen by you, bud. Yeah, I know. Well, I didn't know specifically what triggered it, but I knew it was you had to be like halfway through the game and then go back to Pickle. Because I had the E-gun on my other Jack, because I did all side quests on my other Jack that I had as a part of the last section of the playthrough. I'd gotten to level 70 and then I reset UVHM and then I did the entirety of UVHM including all side quests with him.
Robot army, huh? Yeah, this is where I was doing most of my
before the scavs came and forced me to be there.
That's because it's really just so fun for me to play Jack. It really just is. I like free ammo.
Oh, I should steal some of this tech.
Oh my god, if I could hit a head in the boy. Oh. Holy, you think you're picking up enough velocity? Oh my god, the accuracy recovery on this. Well, this thing's going in the dumpster. The only thing you wanted Jacobs to be good at, and it's terrible. No wonder I couldn't hit multiple shots in a row. The fucking accuracy recovery is ass. This sniper rifle is a you point it and you spam kind of sniper rifle. Look at that accuracy recovery, my dude. Was that a Tord shotgun? Oh, but it's 2-shot. Suck a nut. Give me one with a 5 clip, you know.
This place kind of looks like a junkyard. Are you sure we can build something badass up in here?
Of course, bro. The scavs make it look way worse than it is. First thing we need to do is restore the main power. Head over to the breaker room and see what's what. Let's see if we can get you in through the window. Let me see if I can get that cover down.
Hey, dog hunter! Piss off!
These guys are rude. Looks like scavs have barricaded themselves inside. That security glass is vulnerable to cold. Reckon you should freeze and smash.
Piss off!
1 second.
Wow, that That's one impressive stream.
Oh my god, the bullets on this gun. I'm just... If you are not aimed down the scope, the bullet is going in a 90-degree arc to the barrel of the gun. That is something that has always pissed me off eternally about shooters with rifles. And I understand, they do it as a balancing thing, so you can't just run around going like this and killing every enemy. But it's so stupidly unrealistic, it's not even funny. I understand, yes, you have a long barrel in real life. The tinier movements you make affects your aim more drastically. However, when I'm standing next to a dude that I can literally take the barrel of the gun and go up against, that's not the case. It's dead accurate as it would be. That fucking shit is so, like, I hate it so much. Fucking just, I don't even wanna, I wanna burn it, but you can't just destroy weapons in this fucking game. Why do they make shit like that? Keep that kind of shit in Call of Duty where it fucking belongs. I get really sick of the single player video games having the standards of PvP games forced upon them. Fucking so tired of it. I just want to play a game that isn't a PlayStation 2 game that has the qualities of a PlayStation 2 game. No Indian giver balancing, as I am now going to refer to it as, whereby they release bullshit that's overpowered and then nerf it and then do a whole bunch of other bullshit because they just can't make the game good anymore. Even companies that used to make good games can't make good games anymore. Companies like Koei Tecmo. One of my favorite PlayStation 2 games is a game called Naval Ops Warship Gunner. If you look up footage of the menus in that game, you can tell a lot of care was put into that game, and it had a very low budget for the time. That game has a completely animated menu system whereby the doors of mechanical screens like close and open up on everything, and it goes like doosh, doosh, and everything is interactive in a sense. Or not interactive, sorry, animated. You have a top-down and horizontal based grid view system for constructing your ship as well. You had a bunch of different hulls from a bunch of different countries. You had NG Plus cycles. Yeah. In an old PlayStation 2 game. Wow. You also had a specifically dedicated hard mode called World War II mode. You got parts for killing enemies that would appear on crates while you were on missions, and you could buy and forge and research your own parts to get a specific amount of, and there were things that you could only get from enemies. Like there were missions that had enemies that would drop loot that would have a chance to give you specific types of parts that you could only get from that. Encouraging farming. Again, this is stuff back in like 2004 to 2006 era of video games. And again, people want to act like all of that stuff all of a sudden just magically appeared in newer video games. It's not like there was a cult of people who played, like, I don't want to act like a hierarchy, but you play good video games, you know what to expect from a good video game. When people nowadays want to act like a game has a comparable standard because it looks better, that's not all of what makes a game a game. It fucking annoys the piss out of me, the regular standard for video games now. The fact Call of Duty Black Ops 3 was a free game on the store. Because they just shuck it out like it's a fucking useless piece. It doesn't matter, it's just turd. They make a new one every fucking couple years. Because they've already made the new one while they're releasing the next one. If you've never heard of Naval Ops Warship Gunner and you have a PlayStation 2 emulator on your computer, you can get it on emulator, if I remember correctly. I have it on PlayStation 2. I have Warship Gunner 1, I have Warship Gunner 2, and I have Naval Ops Commander, which is just Warship Gunner but from a top-down, like, RTS perspective. It has almost the same identical missions and same customizations and same way you build your ships. Just the way you play the game is different. Shit like that also used to exist in gaming, where you had two of the same game that would be changed, or the play style of it would be changed or something, and they would re-release it. Lots of forgotten stuff. And again, it's hard for me when I talk about stuff like this to always bring up all these different games, because whenever I am, like, I guess you'd say, shit-talking Dark Souls, I'm always bringing up older third-person action games, or just older RPGs, or older games like Warship Gunner, which technically is like a third-person shooter, because you control the ship from a third person, and you use primarily guns, and it's all customizable, so it's like, I don't know, it's weird to explain that. You would say it's vehicular combat, but it's not vehicular combat in the same way where piloting the ship is the important part. It is on boss fights, but for normal stuff, it's more you being better at shooting and arcing the projectiles, because the projectiles all have bullet arc and drop and stuff like that. Games like that are long since forgotten. They'll never be remade. They'll never be remastered. You'll never get something updated from it, because no one acknowledges those older games. Those aren't games that get popular on YouTube from people going, oh, the nostalgia or something. That's a game that's nostalgic to me, because that's like the start of what made the core of really good video games, was that era. At least in terms of the shit that people consider good now. And that's what I mean. Oh, and did I mention that game also had a ranking system when you finished a mission? So it had like the A, or the S, A, B, C, D scaling system for how well you did. was a different time of video games. A time of SSX trickies and stuff like that. I didn't even really like SSX tricky, personally. I liked SSX 3 a lot better, but that's just me. I liked SSX 3 better just because of the free roam. Just ride down the mountain on paths that would lead onto race courses, so you'd be practicing a lot at the same time, just free roaming and doing whatever. Just enjoying playing a game. If I ever get a capture card and am able to do more like older game streams, those will definitely be games I get and do streams of. They're hard as fuck, and I'll definitely still rage, but that'll be all rage at myself. I feel like older games as well, this has only become a problem in more recent gaming, but I feel like older games are also better at not input dropping. I don't know what it is. I feel like that's why so many people speedrun older games consistently. Like the people who do the GoldenEye speedruns, as clunky as the game is, it's consistent. You can work with the clunkiness of it, and that's how people are able to do the consistent times on speedruns and shit. You can master the nuances of the controls. It's not dropping your inputs or anything like that. Games that drop your inputs or have that unpredictability naturally make for poor speedrunning. So you'll see a speedrunning bit pop up for a little bit and then it'll drop off.
How egocentric does this guy have to be to hire body doubles? Dude's just a programmer. That's like a grocery store clerk wearing Kevlar. You're not important enough to kill, man. Hello.
Also, sorry for not responding to anything. I was outside smoking a cigarette. See, I haven't played Battlefront 2's story, or the new ones anyways. I love the old ones though. Those are, again, amongst my favorite types of games. Because that was like back when they were trying to get multiplayer online more of a thing, but they still wanted you to have like a simulated online experience, so they had a lot of AI mixed in with it and shit. And to me, that always felt natural, but now if you do that, you get called Titanfall, where it's just like it's a clone, it's a MOBA, it's trying to be something it's not, and it's like, other games have done that. You just have AI dumbasses running around because it just adds stuff to the game. When it's just you and other players, that's when I think the game becomes like fucking Call of Duty, where it just doesn't even make any sense. Like, you really think in a war situation you're going to be the only one that's there and the only thing that's going to be heard in the distance? It's like, no. You're going to have dumbasses that are running around. You're going to have people whose jobs aren't combat. Who do you think supplies the people with magazines to shoot off? No, of course, that's never factored in video games. Video games are always just like, yeah, ammo pickups. But the reality of it is someone has to sit there and like fucking click all the ammo into the magazines. And that person isn't in combat. And yeah, they probably all do that in preparation for it, but what if you had a situation where you're out of it? You gotta refill your own mags. That takes a long time. There was a game that came out, there was an indie game, I can't remember the name of it, but it had like an emphasis on this element of how real life guns are way more complicated than video games always make them out to be. And the entire game was just like a simulation game based on the mechanics of the handgun that you had, and you had to like cock the arm back on the gun, drop the magazine out, take the magazine in your hand, put the bullets in the individual magazine, take it back out, push the thing back into the thing. These all had like, you had to press a button individually for each of the actions. Just reloading the gun took like 30 plus seconds if you didn't know what you were doing. That's why people use revolvers, because revolvers you just pop the thing out and stick a new thing back in. And again, refilling a revolver is a lot easier than refilling a normal pistol. You just pop the ammo back in. You don't need to press down on a spring and force a bunch of ammo into the same place. It's just bop, 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 reloaded. You can watch that too. There are people who do the speed like competitions with revolvers, and they can like put the thing open, reload all 6 of the rounds in it, close it up, and shoot another target within like under 10 seconds. It's why, as much as people think guns are scary, you can never have a gun in real life be as scary as one in a video game. Because no matter what, a gun in real life will run out of ammo. And the person's gonna have to take an extended period of time to put all that ammo excuse me, back into the gun. Sorry, I'm trying to get myself a sody pad. And I just bumped my head on the fridge. Yeah. To be honest, the gun jamming mechanic wasn't bad. It just needed to be used more properly. The fact that like a brand new gun could jam was just stupid. Like, not all ammo is gonna be bad. love how those things are just reskinned loaders.
That's the stuff. Get the rest.
Let's get sexy.
Like, if you got an old shitty pump shotgun or something that was, like, really worn, then yeah, I'd expect it to jam pretty often. Like, I think that would be a mechanic better suited in the Fallout universe, where you have skills that can reduce the gun jamming on guns that are more worn or something like that. I don't know, that's just an idea. I'm not saying I would actually want it. I'm just saying if a game was to have gun jamming, the Fallout universe would be the game for that. Because you could have the military guns that would have a little or no chance of jamming, and then you could have the shitty, like, handmade bandit pipe guns. And that could also affect the AI too, so the AI would randomly get in combat and you would see them go into the animation where they were smacking the gun to unjam it and just pop them. But then you go to pop them and your gun jams. That's what would happen in Far Cry 2.
It's so beautiful. Okay, now pick it up.
You'd go to kill someone and your gun would jam just as you were about to get the last shot in. And then the thing kills you. My friend Teddy wouldn't even play Far Cry 3 more than the couple hours that he played for the intro because of how bad the FOV and the gun mechanics and everything were to him. And I was like, yeah, and remember that this game was called like a near 10 out of 10 when it came out because of how fucking deluded people are. I love Far Cry 3's like story and characters. Yeah, Killzone 1, exactly. Exactly. Funny you Sorry, I just choked on a honey roasted peanut. But it's funny you mentioned that because I actually played the first Killzone recently.
This is what we're building.
I normally play my PlayStation 2 while we're getting a thunderstorm, so I'll play it for like 30 minutes to an hour at a time.
Looks kind of like a dumpster wrapped in sadness. Hey, no offense.
I also forgot how shitty the aiming was in that game. It has like this weird acceleration on it. It's so bizarre. And none of my controllers made it better because I have like 2 to 3 different types of controllers for the PlayStation 2. I have the original bone stock PlayStation 2 controller. I have the like Mad Catz, Pelican, whatever off-brand third-party controller, the smaller one. And then I have the other third-party controller which looks like a stock PS4 controller, but it's made out of like the heavier plastic. And it has the thicker analog sticks on it. And that one I like using for games that require a little bit more accuracy, like shooters. Because the analog stick has a little bit more pushback.
Oh, bro, this is really happening. It's working. My old professor said I'd never amount to anything, but she was wrong. And now look at me.
That's one of the things I actually don't like about the PS4 controller, is that I think the pushback's a little bit too soft. Even on a brand new controller, they're too soft. And trust me, it's not just my controller. I've had 4 different controllers.
Same thing, and I'd find it much less terrifying.
Exactly how much less terrifying?
I've had the original model controller. I've had the updated model controller that came out after that. Then I've had the even newer controller before they released the PS4 Pro one with the light bar visible from the front. That's the one I'm using now. That's Arctic Camo. It's an actual PS4 factory controller with the Arctic Camo. It's not like a third-party Arctic Camo. And then I have a PS4 Pro controller, which came with my PS4 Pro, but I don't use that controller. I don't use it for playing Borderlands because this controller is so worn. I don't see a point in using it. It'd just be a waste of a controller. Because this game goes through controllers. Because you're constantly clicking in the analog stick and pushing it forward.
It's serious now.
So I'll normally have a controller that's dedicated to games that don't matter. What? That wasn't his head? Ooh. It's a 9-clip Ravager. It's got 9-hole clip. Things are deadoed.
Oh, I just came into some money.
I can't. I was gonna say I can't use Oz and hit the ground before it regenerates. I also didn't slam because I'm a fucking retard. I'm gonna slap myself in the back of the head. Yeah, Killzone is definitely one of those games that improved over time. Although I never played the most recent one. I just became disinterested in shooters like that. Now it's like one of the main things that you need for me to play your game is like loot.
Oh, that's okay, thanks.
If your game doesn't have a decent loot drop system, I'm pretty much not even gonna play it, dude. I'll be honest. I don't find anything interesting in like the kind of bullshit that is just story and stuff like that. I just don't. I only want to spend my money on a game I intend to spend a lot more than 12 hours in. 12 hours of my time is not worth $20. You know how many, like, fucking gardens I could have planted in 12 hours, dude? You know how much money you get in return on that? None, but you know how much money you save? A ton. When you don't fall into the trope of buying a bunch of shit to care for your plants, that is. Because you bought terrible stuff to start out with. I feel bad for people who fall into the like miracle grow bullshit. If you're growing anything inside, and I'll give you this major, like, one tip, because this is something I've probably never said before. If you're growing anything inside for an extended period of time, I highly recommend you take the soil and you put it in the oven. I know that's going to sound weird, and it will probably smell in your house really weird when you do it. But the reason that you do that is you need to cook all the bugs out of it. Another thing you need to do after that is you need to add some sort of slow release organic fertilizer into it, and then be noted that you will have to add fertilizer over time. So many people run into the issue where they start growing plants inside and then the plants get like yellow or they get bugs or stuff on them. And that's not even because the plant got it themselves. It's because someone or something in the soil laid eggs. And when you put your plant in it and put it in a environment where there's no predators or no natural balance, hell, even just using those potting soils as a garden soil a lot of the times will result in very poor growth from your plants due to the fact it actually won't have a natural balance of stuff in it. This is why one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they till their garden is they scoop the soil out of where they're going to put their garden, and they move the soil somewhere else instead of mixing it in with the stuff they're going to use as their garden soil. Because by not, like, mixing in that microbe, like, life, there isn't stuff that naturally feeds off of other bugs and insects. Or their larvae. People will spend a bunch of money on products from stores to deal with these problems that they ended up getting because of products that they bought from the same stores that they buy the products from to save them from the products that they bought from the store. I know it sounds jokey, but that's really just how it is. And if you want to know why I'm saying that, Google fungus gnat. Google aphid. Google spider mite. Google potato bug. 3-lined potato bug. Or any of the other variants of such. Or how about stink bugs? Stink bugs are among a variety of so many different types of bugs. I shouldn't say types, I should say species of stink bugs. You have like spiny stink bugs and a bunch of other stuff, and they're most notable because when you find them and you squish them, it makes your fingers smell like what the inside of a glow stick smells like. Like ammonia mixed with like bleach, mixed with like this chemical, like this heinous chemical smell. And that's what a stink bug smells like when you squish it. There's so many different things that people will get in their plants indoors, or look up scarabs. There are burrowing scarab beetles. Earwigs, too. If you use a soil that has too big of chunks of plant matter, earwigs burrow into rotting wood and make holes in it, and that's where they nest. And if you are gonna have stuff in your house that is like, let's say you don't really care about bugs or something like that, but you still want your plants to be healthy, then don't start squishing spiders in your house. Spiders will normally be inside of your house not only because it's a safe place to stay, but also because it's a great place to catch insects. You have plants inside your house? If you can and you're not afraid of spiders, try to encourage the spider to set up on the plant. That's what I do. I have a terrarium that's full of spiders. But I also have a couple harmless garden spiders that are on the plants that I have in containers inside the house. And they keep those plants pretty much spotless if an insect did so happen to come in. And yeah, if they get, like, wander off into an area of the house where you don't want them, yeah, sure, waking up to a spider somewhere isn't exactly the best, but you get more and more used to spiders the more you associate with them. Plus, again, a garden spider doesn't go very far from its web, so You can Google what a garden spider is. They're the yellow and black spiders that you see in a garden. In bushes and stuff like that. They stretch their legs out like an X on the thing. There's multiple variants of them. We also have riding spiders, which are a garden spider. They do the same thing. One of the cool things that they also do is when you poke them on their web, or you get near them and they consider you like a threat, they'll like wiggle their entire body in the web back and forth. And I guess they do it as an intimidation thing, but really it just makes you want to stare at them even more, because it's just so mesmerizing the way that they do it. Like, you know how if you were swinging from a net, if you like moved your body in like a S, the entire thing would start to like shake in that manner? That's what the spiders do on their web. I live in an area where there's not many things that have venom that can kill you. I wouldn't advise doing that kind of stuff if you lived in Australia. Obviously, in those areas, you'd want to purge your soil pretty good of anything and keep your inside pretty on lockdown when it comes to pests, including washing your hands off and like spraying your clothes down with a soap spray when you go inside. And I don't mean soaking it. I just mean you just get a mister bottle. You just mix up, put like a drop of soap in a gallon of water. Mix it up. Put a little bit of baking soda in it, like a tablespoon, until it's a little bit cloudy. And then you just mist that onto your clothes. And what that'll do is if you have any spider mites or any soft-bodied insects on you from outside, that'll just kill them. It breaks down the outside of their very, very weak skeletons and sort of makes them just turn to mush. That's also something you can just spray on the plants themselves if you have insects that you try to deal with. You just might want to look up and see if anyone has already tested to see if the plant is tolerant to it. And if you can't find if a plant is tolerant to being treated with it, just treat it with a very low amount on one leaf. So take like, put like one leaf on the palm of your hand and just spray it moist and try not to get it on the rest of the plant. And then wait a day or two, and if that leaf turns yellow, then you can probably guarantee that it was the spray was too strong. And that just means use less soap, because the baking soda won't damage the leaf. It's the soap that will damage a plant's leaf if you spray it on it. But the soap helps the baking soda stick to the surface of the plant's leaf, which is also a useful treatment for mildews and fungi, because it changes the pH of the surface of the leaf. You can also use pyrethrin, or yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced. Pyrethrin is an organic pesticide that is residue free. It doesn't leave a permanent residue on your plant, so it's safe for use on plants indoors and stuff like that. Then there's neem oil, which is like a drastic last resort, because that is organic, but it is also residue leaving, and leaves a mild oily substance on the surface of your leaves, since if you are planning on eating the plant for its leaves or its fruit, you'll want to avoid spraying the neem oil on it, because neem oil does not taste very good.
You need a sweater?
I've seen people do that with plants that they try to make extracts out of, and what happens is the neem oil prevents you from being able to make a proper extract. Because it has a different heating temperature and it doesn't like to become a solid at room temperature. So it just makes whatever you're trying to extract basically garbage, because you have to then separate the neem from it, which is really, really hard, without affecting the quality of the product that you're trying to make. It also affects things like when people go to spray fruit trees. You obviously don't want a fruit tree that's been sprayed if you're going to be using the lemon or the orange as a zest, because you're going to be scratching the skin, which the skin of an orange, if you're familiar, is porous. Which you can probably guess that means it likes to hold on to stuff well. If I remember correctly, and I can't remember if it was a Snope and if it was determined if it was true or not, but during certain periods of the year, oranges are a lighter color when they go to harvest them because they've had a less intense sun, because they get a darker orange color on an orange tree from more sunlight. Less sun will result in a less intensely colored fruit due to the plant not being able to produce as many antioxidants and sugars for it. Which, if you didn't know, is most of what gives a fruit its color. Unless you're talking about a fruit that is green. Like a green bell pepper doesn't have nearly as many antioxidants and sugars in it as a red jalapeno pepper.
It's frozen. It's been
There's a cultivar that's like a jalapeno, called like a papano or something like that. I can't accurately remember the name, but it's basically, it has a very similar, it's a pamplano or something. But it has the same flavor as a jalapeno without the flavor. And if you didn't know, a jalapeno pepper is actually red. Most people harvest them when they're green, but they actually turn red on the plant. And they get way hotter than what most people eat them as. Most people eat them when they're green because the seeds and the veins haven't fully developed, so you get a lot more mild of heat that doesn't last as long. A red jalapeno literally is like any other one of those death chilies. It just, you'll remember that you ate the pepper the day after. It's so bad. Yeah, of course I know that, man. What I'm doing is farming. This is how I get moonstone. To finish off my upgrades. And because you can just get a lot of money. So why not? If you freeze them when you kill them, you don't get a memory problem that you get if you just let everything. Let all the corpses flop around.
Crazy weather around here, huh?
Can't even hear my gun anymore. Got him. Oh yeah. No, I've seen people do that before. But I also... There aren't many places in the Borderlands games where enemies spawn infinitely. God damn it, he wouldn't freeze. Freeze, motherfucker. It's also a great place to get money as power. Because there's a shop that's close to get rid of all that excess item buildup. If only you could fail the quest, so you could just restart it. Yeah, I just hate picking it up because it's all over the freaking place. Okay, I don't want to be face fucked, dude. I didn't sign up for that. That was basically rape. Good day, sir. I love that quote. Ah, shut it, dumbass. If I had waners, that's what I would make one of my waners. Just so I'd be mid-rant and then someone would donate to me just to get me to shut up. You make so much money, dude. That's how you get money, right there. Guys, Dick69 just donated $2. And then it pops up going, eh, shut it, dumbass. And then if you donated $10, you get Alex Jones, you need to shut the fuck up. And then if you donated $100, it would be Jim Carrey at the bar in Dumb and Dumber going, alright. I'm not going to do the quote because I don't want to ruin Jim Carrey.
This is irritating. Not making the night fun, not this time.
Then if you donated $1,000, I'd hire a personal sniper to shoot me from across the planet with a dart. Randomly on one of my streams. But it wouldn't be just any dart. No, it'd be a dart filled with an EpiPen. And you just hear me go. It just turned into that scene where like your eyes dilate and it just goes. If only I did face cam. But I'm talking as if I'm like a clickbaiter or something.
1%, suckers!
Guy gets EpiPenned on accident live on stream?
Aren't born, they're specs. I'll drown you to see a chiseled jaws. Feels so bad, guy.
Damn it.
I win! This'll be good. Oh, it's good to meet Red.
Rocket enthusiast. I like rockets too, bud. can't shoot. Well, sayonara, Cupcake. I am real Super Saiyan lesbian. I need a hero.
Stand where I can see you, assholes. That's right.
I need a gyro.
Back here. Frickin' suck it.
No, whoa.
Are in the other lab. They're still attached to an experimental version of the Dahl power suit, so you'll need to separate them and get them into the crane system.
I take over the power suit, then walk the legs to where they can be assembled. Wouldn't that be easier?
Hey, that's not a bad idea. I didn't even think of that.
Peanut.
It'll be a nice warm-up for you.
People say feeding the wildlife encourages like bad things. The little chipmunks and squirrels that are around my area half of the time don't even eat what you give them. They store it for later Like, don't give them bird seed or anything like that, because they'll just plant it. They'll stick it in the ground somewhere, and then you'll just get a random plant popping up. Because he'll forget about it.
Some of this tech. Challenge.
No butterscotch.
Plug me in. His body feels strange. Arms, legs. Is this what it's like to be human? This is the worst.
This is the worst. I'm not going to play for much longer. I know my other streams recently have been a lot longer, but... I would have started streaming earlier tonight, but we kept getting on and off thunderstorms, and I don't like to play the PlayStation 4 in a thunderstorm.
Incoming power source. I feel dirty.
See, they're just spinning because they're experimental. See, that one was broke. He got in it, and the dude who was testing it broke the lever to control it, and it just kept spinning around. And it was just doing like this.
You turned all those scabs into puddles.
I did, didn't I? Everything's lost like tears in a puddle.
Everything's lost like my dick in the depths of your ass.
They just attack me on sight. Don't humans ever try talking to each other?
That one.
No, everyone's socially awkward nowadays. You start a conversation with someone and you feel like you're interrupting them because they're looking at their phone doing fuck all anyways. I'm sorry, I gotta send this important text message to someone about butt farts.
Okay, I'm ready to detonate. Stand back.
Perfect, Felicity. Vault Hunter, can you use the controls to lower the torso onto the legs? Yeah, this is gonna get awesome. It got awesome.
It's a brute, isn't it?
Construction's complete, finally! The shell just needs to go through testing in the diagnostics chamber. We'll be able to install the AI core Felicity there.
No, Jack, I really didn't enjoy killing those scabs. Maybe this is all a mistake.
Gladstone, you want to know what my favorite place is? Inside of this place? The diagnostics chamber. You see, I need a diagnostics on how fucking retarded I am. On a level of 1 to dumb boy, I'm a fucking negative 500,000. Oh!
Hey, come on, how about
Damn
that?
gun rack.
Light him up.
Too many guns. Oh! He's a zombie.
Bad guy kill.
Okay. 360 barrel explode.
Not making an ice spot, not this time.
are dead. Not big surprise. I get killed for dying?
I don't want to have my memory wiped. I don't want to turn into... Look, can't you just put a copy of me into the constructor?
Exactly how long will it take to copy you?
Couple of days at the absolute most.
Too long. Zarpedon will have popped the moon like a zit by then. Look, I'm really sorry, kiddo. This is the only way.
Jack, don't lie. You want a moon zit.
I guess it's for the best.
What does a moon zit feel like? What are you mad at now, Hyro? You're slowly becoming me. Sorry, I was eating something. Honey, where's the peanuts? Good old peanuts.
Stop. Anything that can help us in a fight. Trash the rest.
Listen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
How are you even on your PS4?
Why is she still in there? Look, we need that thing intact. Disable it, but don't destroy it.
Shouldn't you be asleep, dude? Oh yeah, that's right. It's time for you to die. That didn't work the way I intended it.
The other manufacturers ain't so bad.
There we go. Wow, that was tough.
Good work.
Nice sarcasm, Jack.
Gladstone, make me some friggin' robots.
I'm not opening you.
Okay, not bad. But you know what? Appearances do matter. Need a little more... Je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi. Je non.
Let's go with I-34. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Awesome.
Should I go ahead and start creating more?
Yeah, you bet your ass. You know what? Come to think of it, other stuff needs a kick in the pants too. Get that down. Pick up awesome new names and colors for Hyperion weapons. Alright, I think we're good to go. Come back to Moxie's, we'll get you geared up and ready for the big fight.
Money is power!
Yeah, it's just games like that, I'm afraid, man. Yep, because they can, because they know people will pay for it. And because they're assholes. Unlike the company who makes Neo, they're gonna give a free beta again, like they did with the first one. They're not changing anything just because they got popular. No, Hyro knows how I feel. I know it's weird for a lot of people who come to the stream when Hyro talks about stuff in relation to stuff I talk about. He's already heard me rant about it like 100 times. He's just ranting about it because he finally realizes what I always rant about is wrong with video gaming. And why I never purchase games like that, even if the game is good or not. I just don't support companies that are bullshit. I just refuse to. Ubisoft I cut some slack, but even now, after The Crew 2 and its bullshit, nah. They don't even get slack from me anymore.
Here's where it gets fun.
I stashed some loot away for a special occasion. Guess this qualifies.
Excuse me.
Now that is pretty. Reverse engineering!
Hyro, you're talking like a 40-year-old man. You need to stop. I'm the person who talks and rants like I'm a 40-year-old man. I also occasionally do encampments when I burp. I mean, that's not the same thing, but it's a thing I do. Yo, I'm up. You sound like the character from Banjo and Kazooie when you do that. When you do the thing where you inhale this when you sound like this, and you do this. More ego, bro. The sky looks so weird right now. crickets are so fucking loud. Is it still raining?
Watching? Great. God, this character, right? Such an insufferable piece of shit. Hey, somebody's listening. I'm Jack, and I'm the best, and I love being Jack. 3 cheers for Jack. I'm great.
Sorry. That's bizarre. I never knew they ate stuff like that. That funnel weaver must not see me. I want to put him in my container, but I don't know if I can catch him. There's no way I'm going to catch that thing with this bottle like this.
I miss my old face. I miss my freckles.
No, it's so fast. I'd squished an earwig with a pair of pliers, and the earwig was still, like, on the end of the pliers, and I just left it there, because it's just a fucking earwig, who cares? And it was still, like, wriggling a little bit. And the spider, I guess, came up, and either saw it, or detected something, and came up to it on the pliers, and bit it, and started to eat it right off of the pliers like that. Never seen a spider do that before. I'd only known of tarantulas to eat like carrion, basically. Must have been a hungry spider.
How egocentric does this guy have to be to hire body
I wanted to put him in the area where I have the aphid problem.
Grocery store clerk wearing Kevlar.
In my containers.
You're not important enough to kill, man. Hello.
I need to introduce some kind of spider there. get a garden spider in my containers, but every time I put them in my containers, it moves to the plants next to the containers, and not my actual plants in the containers themselves. And it's like, I don't want to keep moving it, because then you're just preventing it from doing what it needs to. But yeah, I'm gonna...
Alright, here we go, everybody. The jamming signal's down. We've got a robot army. Time to get back to Helios.
I'm gonna end my stream here.
Roland and I will head up with you guys and provide support.
Hyro, get on PS4 if you want, because I'm still gonna be on PS4 for a bit.
I don't know how hairy things have gotten up there, so...
I'm gonna play a little bit of Darkest Dungeon before I go to sleep. But I'll see everyone next time. Peace out.